Hey guys, it's SRC Reptiles, and today I'm going to be making a little video showing you how I feed my 6-year-old corn snake, Raja. So for the entire time I've owned him, I've always fed him in a separate container. He's never had any issues when it comes to regurgitation, anything like that. I know that some people say that your snake will become tank aggressive, which back when I got him was the whole reason I started doing that. Since then, most people say that that's not the case. But obviously, when you have a warm hand and there's movement and your snake's hungry, then yeah, it's going to be likely to bite you possibly. But Raja's never been aggressive, luckily, even though he does really well with feeding. This here is his tank. I will put the dimensions on the screen because I can't remember it. I know up here is kind of a mess, but there's so much organization I have going on in here that when I move everything from one area, it kind of gets stuck up here, and then it looks like an absolute mess. So once I'm done organizing, it won't look too bad, but for now it looks like absolute chaos. But anyway, this is his tank here. He has a thermostat controlling his heat pad. He has a very large heat pad. I can't remember the exact one it is. That is in that back corner back there. He has a 40-watt heat bulb that is in the basking spot over there that helps also warm up his tank. He's got a water dish. His humid hide and his cold hide is over here. And yeah, so you can see everything else that he's got in there, a ladder, and he's got some plants. And this deal here used to be his ladder, and he pulled it down because it used to connect over here. I had to use command strips because you can't use suction cups on this type of material. And the command strip fell and is in the tank somewhere, so now I have to dig around and look for that. So command strips apparently are not made to hold a 437-gram corn snake. So, or at least the small ones anyway. These big ones here have done a really good job holding his bridge for him, which he does like to utilize. So even though corn snakes are not technically an arboreal species, they do enjoy being able to get up off the ground. So anyway, I will show you how I go about feeding my corn snake, like I literally just said earlier. So we're going to take this towel to the kitchen because this is what I'm going to dry off his mouse in. Then we're going to bring it in here, and I will tell you when we get to the kitchen just how picky my corn snake is and how every condition has to be perfect for him to eat this mouse of his. Okay, so here is the way that I heat his mouse up. So we have this Arrival, and it is a coffee mug heater, I guess you would call it. It's just a little kind of almost like a candle base type thing where, you know, with it heats wax that you set the candles on. So in here we've got his mouse. I'm going to take that out. And I will thaw them in there, and then we got to check the temperature. It has to be at least 93, and as you can see, 94.5 internally. So then I will take it with both hands and kind of rub it back and forth in the towel, but we're not going to do that right now because we'll do that when we get to the bedroom. Okay, so now that we've got the mouse, I will say real quick, for Raja to eat his mice, they have to be dark or black mice. Dark brown or black, it don't matter as long as it's a dark color. He won't eat white mice. Ever since he was like 2.5 years old, he won't eat white. It has to be at least 92 degrees, otherwise he won't eat it. So that's why that coffee cup heater is such a great thing to use. And then of course he's all excited because, well, yes, it's time to eat. And he gets very excited, as you can see, about getting his mice. He gets fed every 13 days. And after he's done eating this, which I'll just talk the whole time because it literally takes him less than 5 minutes to eat his mouse. He absolutely loves feeding day because it's time to eat. Now you can see he kind of is dark looking. I'll kind of make this darker. This is about realistically in the lighting how dark he is right now, but if I tap on the screen it makes it brighter. But he is currently getting ready to go into shed. It's like the very beginning stages, because I looked at his belly, because normally he doesn't get real dark unless he's getting ready to start shedding, which is really interesting how that works. But I looked at his belly, and he's got a slight gray going on to his belly, which means that he's going to be going into shed here soon. So, which I need to consult my book and see when his last shed was. But normally he sheds every 1 to 1.5 months. So, but as you can see, he is beginning to eat on his mouse here. But yeah, Raja, like I said, he's 6 years old. I've had him for a while. I think he was probably about 7 inches maybe when I got him as a baby. I have no idea how old he was, honestly. I've never personally bred or know anyone that breeds corn snakes, so I couldn't, just kind of get an idea from how big their babies were to kind of compare photos of him when he was younger to see how old he may have been. But, I mean, if I had to guesstimate, he was definitely like 6 months or younger, probably, just because of how small he was. So I definitely got him when he was under a year old, so he's been with me for quite a while. So he does really good at, and I wasn't even paying attention, I was just kind of staring off at my cricket tank. I noticed he's almost done eating already. But he's really good with being like touched on his head. He's very head tame. I made sure when he was younger that I would kind of pet his whole body, and that way he would get used to being touched on his head or like the tip of his tail. It's not like I pull on it, but just like petting it. And it's funny, he'll stand up like this every time because he'll use gravity to help that mouse go down. But even though he gets, they were like large mice, it's weighed off of grams, like the sizes they send me. And it's kind of wonky because it'll be like, oh, it'll be between this certain amount of grams and this certain amount of grams. So some mice will be bigger while other ones will be smaller. So it's like, I can't just pick all of the big mice out of the bag, because then by the time we're done with all the big ones, all the smaller on the end of that weight spectrum are going to be what's left. And so I kind of have to go between giving him some that are smaller and some that are bigger, but they're all technically a large. They just go off of the weight of the mouse. But once he's done, I will come over here with his tote. And you're not technically supposed to handle them when they have gotten done eating, or if you do handle them, you handle them very gently. So what I do is I just prop this up like this, and then I let him just crawl back in there on his own. That way I'm not handling him or stressing him out. If that were to stress him out, which it probably wouldn't, it would probably just be like, oh, okay, cool. But just because I did have my hand around the mouse when I was drying it on the towel, I didn't want to risk him possibly still being hungry and wanting to strike at me or something weird like that. He's never given me any problems like that before, so I doubt that would be an issue. But yep, so that's how I go about feeding Raja. Oh, there he goes. And like I said, he's a male corn snake. He's just a classic, normal morph, I guess you want to call him. But yeah, so that's how I go about feeding Raja. Hopefully you guys found this informative. I will say, if you've ever had issues with your corn snakes wanting to eat, that coffee mug heater is like amazing, because I can put his mouse in there. Get back in there. You're not coming back out. He was trying to sneak out the bottom there. What was it? Oh yeah, with his mouse. With his mouse, I found out that just heating it up in warm water in a cup, or just putting hot water in a cup and letting his mouse soak, was not doing the job, because he would not want to eat them if they were not a certain temperature. So that's when I started like measuring the temperature of like internally of the mouse after like 30 minutes of it being in the mug cup, or being in the like heated cup with the mug heater. And I started noticing that unless it was at least 92 degrees, he was not interested in the mouse. Even with it being his darker ones, there have been a few times this year that he refused to eat his mouse. And so I was like, well, that's awfully odd. What's going on there? And when I started noticing that the days that I made sure the mouse was at least 92, he would eat them. And if they were like 89 degrees, literally something as stupid as this, 2 or 3 degree difference, and he won't touch it. It is so dumb. But I have heard that there's other people out there that have snakes, and their snakes are also very picky. Like, the females will eat fine, but the males are really picky. So I don't know. I'm sure that it really depends on each individual snake. I'm sure that not all females are amazing and all males are picky, I'm sure. But for anybody that has any snakes that eat frozen thawed mice in general, or even frozen thawed rats, the coffee mug method of just getting one of those mug heaters and letting it warm up gradually over time and then just drying it off and giving it to them, like, it is a world of difference just using that to heat the mouse versus just putting it in lukewarm water, having to take it out, putting it in more lukewarm water because that water cooled down. At least with this, it's a constant, steady rising of temperature, but not so fast that it's going to make the mouse explode or something like that. Not like with the microwave. That's a big no-no. Don't ever do that. I've never done it myself, but I have definitely heard many horror stories of people that have done that, so don't do that. So just get his lock on there so I don't forget about that. Anyway, guys, I'm going to stop rambling. If you have any questions about corn snakes, feel free to ask me. I do know a lot about corn snakes, but not to the point where I'm a professional type. Like, I know about keeping them, but when it comes to breeding and medical issues and stuff, I'm not as knowledgeable because Raja's never had any issues. So as long as his temperatures are correct and he's eating fine and he's shedding perfectly fine and his humidity is correct and all of that stuff, then I'm not going to bother looking up currently what different illnesses corn snakes could get, since he's never given me any trouble with being sick or anything. So, but anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to support the channel. It always encourages me to make more videos. And I hope you have a good rest of your day.